Welcome back to another Flip Talk podcast, episode 14. It's your host KUDOS, and our guest today is Edgar. How you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me for sure. I'm happy to be back.
Yes. So he is a familiar face. If you guys don't recognize him, he's from episode three or four. I think it's three. But
Yeah.
pretty much Edgar came on with Edwin, and we were reminiscing pretty much on high school, our Randolph experience, and just life overall. But I wanted to bring him back because I wanted to jump into his life a little more, his career, stuff like that, and just get into conversation. So I'm glad you made yourself available, especially like on
For
short
sure.
notice. Like I hit you up like just the other day. You're like, yeah, I'm down for sure. But
Always, bro.
it's valid because that's something like I want to do. Like I don't feel like everybody should come on like a year later, 2 years. Like if you want to come back on a couple weeks after, a couple months, like it's cool. Like I could just hit me up. I want everybody to like feel comfortable to come on the podcast because I'm always down to have a conversation, right? Um,
Definitely.
so let's jump straight into it, Edgar. Tell me a little bit about your career again. Just tell me what you do and pretty much how you got into that.
Sweet. So right now I'm the associate director of technology at a public charter school in the DMV. If you all don't know what DMV means, is uh pretty much the DMV area down by Virginia, Maryland, and DC. So right now the school is pretty much based in DC, but I live in Virginia, so I kind of like commute and stuff like that, work remotely whenever I can. But right now it's pretty much what I deal with is like a lot of technology in school. Seeing how like the technology has an impact on the learning abilities for kids that have like they call it IEPs, which is like special needs. And just every student that we have in the classroom. So it's pretty interesting. I would definitely say like it's never a dull moment. There's always something going on when it comes to like tech in schools, especially just because there's always that major like hurdle of resources, especially if it's a public charter school. So that's what I'm doing right now. In regards to like how I led up and how I got there, it's pretty funny because I remember when we was in Randolph, like junior year, you get to go to like these career fairs and stuff like that, and then
Yes.
you kind of get to see like different like job fairs. And it was so funny because I think I never went to them joints, and then my girlfriend at the time, not my wife, she actually went to one for me, and then she brought me like a couple pamphlets because she knew that I always like technology. Because like my dad he used to do like newspaper ads and stuff like that in New Jersey, and this dude will pick up anything, bro. Anything tech, bring it to me, and I just start messing with it. And she knew that I had like that knack for tech, so then she handed me this pamphlet. The school was Monroe College in Fordham Road. I'm sure anybody that's in New York City and the Bronx, they definitely passed through Fordham Road, specifically on Jerome Ave. But yeah, man, Monroe College is where it all started. When I ended up going into Monroe, it was a different experience because like I was looking at like the specific curriculums and stuff like that from like other schools. Like one of the other ones was like CUNY Tech. Um, and bro, one of the curriculums was like calculus. I'm just like, bro, I fucking hate calculus. It was horrible. So then Monroe gave me that insight that's like the coursework and the courses that I took, it was like very specific to like on the job thing. So like I never had to take anything else outside of like math one. And then there was another class. I forgot the name of it, but like it deals with a lot with like probability and stuff like that. But those are like the most math intense courses that I've ever taken. Everything else is like computer hardware, computer software, Cisco networking, like things like very geared towards like it's almost like a trade if you will say, but they really focus in on like a lot of the things that you will encounter on the job, which I loved. And then once I was there, I started. They kind of have you do like an internship program towards the end, in your last semester. So then my internship, I landed the internship at Sirius XM Radio, and I was like pretty much as a IT intern there, and that joint opened up my eyes, bro. I was like, damn, this is actually pretty cool stuff. And then once I was able to finish that internship, like maybe like 2 weeks before, I was able to interview for a company called Havas Health, and it's that company. It's still around now. They do like a lot of global pharmaceutical advertisement commercials, kind of like those ones that when you're watching TV and then be like, Moderna side effects may include blah, 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 and they see like they have like stock ass videos of people just running around in a field and shit. It's like
Yeah.
that. And I actually landed my first gig there, and then I got maybe like 3 years under my belt, and then I was like, it's time for a change, and then that's why I jumped ship and went to a company called Studios Architecture in New York, and I was working there for about 3 years, and the way that it planned out was kind of crazy because I was literally telling my wife, I'm like, yo, I gotta leave, bro. I need to keep moving up. It's becoming stagnant and all that stuff. And sure enough, like literally when I started searching, it was kind of crazy because we had a DC office, right?
Hmm.
Our DC office, we had a very high like turnover for IT folks. And the one of the operations manager that led the DC site, he was like, yo, I need a leader, bro. I need somebody that's gonna be here, do their thing, and lead the office in the tech realm. And they so happened to give me like the opportunity to come down here and take the lead. So then I spoke to my wife about it. My wife was like, yo, listen, the plan was always to leave New York, so that's what we did. And that's how
Nice.
I'm here now, in the DMV area. And then shortly, probably like I lasted a year in that role in the DC site, until there was a lot of like change in management and all this extra stuff that I was just like, nah, I can't. I gotta leave. And then that's where I jumped ship again, and I'm at the role that I'm at right now. So that's just like kind of like a quick,
Yeah. Yeah. A
brief,
little rundown.
yeah,
For
how
sure.
I ended up where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the beginning you did mention you guys deal with certain like technology, so it's kind of like you're testing it out to see how it works with these students, right? So what type of technology are you currently working with
So right
or
now,
testing?
yeah. So right now we have a lot of different technologies. So there's software tech and then there's hardware tech. So like on the hardware side of things, we're dealing a lot with like Chromebooks, school projectors, document cameras. I'm sure you remember those document cameras where like the teacher would put the paper under and it'll project on the
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah.
We did a lot with those, of course, like printers and stuff like that. For the kids, primarily they just use the Chromebooks though. So we have like about 7,000 Chromebooks in circulation right now that we have to manage. um so that's pretty much like what it is. And then on the software side, there's a lot of technology. There's something called like Clever, and it's pretty much, think of it like a online portal that has like different school apps that the kids can access and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we right now I undergo a lot of like the testing, the license acquisitions for those things, and just make sure like that, whenever we have like state exams. So we're about to come into the park week. Park is like the major exam for all the students in like the DMV area. And we right now we're in the phase of like testing a whole bunch of things out, and making sure like the test runs good and all that stuff. So that's just a couple things that we touch on in the tech side of things there.
Okay, okay. So let me ask you, how do you feel about technology? Do you feel like it's becoming too advanced for humanity? This is something that people's always been talking about, right? It goes back
Yeah.
to, grandparents when they were younger, they were kind of like, oh, like there's too much going on. But now like technology is even like more advanced more in the last 20, 30 years, right? So
Def-
do you feel that it's gonna get to a point where we can't control it? Because now we're hearing about all the AI stuff, where like
Mhm.
you can take the president's voice and like take a clip of a video, and it seems like he's saying something that he's not. Right? That's trending right
Mhm.
now. So, what's your take on it, being that you're part of that IT world?
I Is it always like a double-edged sword? Because like I love seeing those kind of advancements. Like there's some, I don't know if you know about something called Chat GPT, but it's kind of like resurfacing nowadays. It's what it is it's pretty much, think of it like a chat session, right?
Mhm.
But you're chatting with artificial intelligence, so you can ask them anything, and then like you could be like, oh, what are the healthiest recipes that I can eat, whatever. And then it takes like a split second and it gives you the whole bunch of like results.
Mhm.
So like one of the controversies with that is like people are using that chat GPT or artificial intelligence to create like malicious scripts and stuff like that. So like when I mean malicious, like you can tell it to write you like a virus, right?
Hmm.
that you can potentially send to someone, and then you can compromise their information, or like things like that. So like people are kind of like, this is kind of iffy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think if I kind of feel like every time that something like that surfaces, there's always something on the other side to like negate it. So
Hmm.
like I feel like it's going in a great direction, but I do feel like if it's kind of scary, because I don't know if you ever. I'm pretty sure you watched the movie I, Robot
Yeah.
with Will Smith, and it's
Hmm.
kind of like one of those vibes where it's like, you don't want the AI to just be like, or even the movie Megan. I don't know if you watched it,
Yeah, I
but
did. I did. Yeah.
even like a movie like that where it's like it's AI, but
Mm.
they made it so advanced that this shit just started taking control of itself and then just causing havoc. And Megan is like one of
Hmm.
those worst case scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Where it's
Yeah.
like you create something for good, but then it just builds a mind of its own, and then like
It makes his
literally,
own decisions.
yeah, that
Mm.
shit is scary to me.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I kind of heard about that software you're talking about, but what I heard is that they're trying to get the software to interact with the software itself, right? So
Mm,
it's kind of like it writing a book or something, right? Where it's like
yeah.
two people are having conversations and they're having like real life conversations to where there's like some type of feelings behind it, right? But I
Hmm.
feel like they said something about like it being stuck to where it's hard to get like both systems to like comprehend everything, but like the
Mm,
scary part about it is that they're starting it, right? So once you have two AIs having conversations, like technically that's a mind of its own because it's
yep.
gonna, depending on what the other AI says, it's gonna respond. So at some point, it's gonna get to the point where it's like, yo, we don't like these people, we don't like these humans. Like,
I
oh
know,
yeah,
right?
let's do something about it. Like let's send this email to somebody or something. Um,
Yep.
but like I want to go back to what you said is like anytime there's something like good with tech, right? There's always that group of people that try to do something negative with it, right? So
Hmm.
like how bad is the hacker world like from your point of view, at least what you know from it, like obviously it's something that's been around for a while, ever since computers came out, but like what
Yeah.
is the current status with that now?
Like it's so funny you ask that, because we're literally doing we're working on a project and at my job right now
Mm-hmm.
where we're trying to increase like cybersecurity. And when I was doing like research on it, I kid you not, like spam and phishing and people that get caught for that, and like malware and stuff like that. So I don't know if you ever heard of scenarios where like hackers get compromised like a large company, and they're like, oh, in order for me to give you your information, you got to pay me X amount in like crypto or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that scenario, and when you compare it to like the GDP scales of like the different like countries and how much like they're worth, that whole section within itself is top three. So you have, I think,
Mm.
United States as number one, and then you have, I think, either China, and then that's where that section or sector will fall into. So like it's like a couple $1 trillion, bro, worth up to this day, and then they're projecting for like up until 2025 that it's gonna go to like it's gonna double and probably hit like 20 trillion. So like just with that information, bro, like that shit is scary. Like if I was to be like, I don't know, someone like that has a huge company like Microsoft or like JP Morgan Chase, like those large titans, like I want to make sure my security is down packed. Like I don't want to get compromised, because then with them knowing how much money or like your annual revenue will be, because that's like
Mm-hmm.
public information, like people could really just go bananas, bro. Like they could be like, oh, I'm not, you gotta pay me. If your company made like in 2023, let's say they're projected to make like 2 trillion in sales or whatever in revenue, they could be like, yo, I want $3 trillion right now, or I'm you're not gonna get your information back. So like the hacker world, if you are, I think it's one of those things where like if you know how to code and you get into it, it could be very lucrative for you, because you can be in a specific role where like people are paying you to try to hack their systems, and if you successfully hack it, you're exposing vulnerabilities that other hackers could do. So it's
Mm.
like technically helping out their infrastructure and making it more
Yeah.
secure. But like that shit is hard, bro.
No.
That's one of those
Yeah.
things where I'm like, I stay away from it.
I feel you. Now, yeah, it's crazy because I have heard of that where companies hire certain people to try to hack their system to find the loopholes, right?
Yeah.
But it's just crazy to think that like they have access to all this information to where it's like, oh, this company's gonna make more money, so let me go after them. For example, like for you, it's a little different because it's like maybe you're not working for these companies to where you have to focus so much on the hacking part of it, right? But there could be hacking
Mhm.
within the school system. Sometimes
Oh
people
yeah.
people hack in, change their grades, little stuff like that, right? So
Hmm.
like how I know you spoke on like you guys having meetings over and stuff like that, but how do you year to year like develop your skills? Like is it something like where the software changes every year, you have to learn a whole new system, or it's kind of like you guys go in and edit it?
Yeah, usually there's not like, let's say if we get a specific type of software and it's like you're trying to they, let's say they release new features, right?
Hmm.
Those specific features are like, they're not it's not like reinventing the wheel per se. So you don't the learning curve is not as like steep as if you were to like come in fresh and try to learn the whole software itself.
Hmm.
So like I would say yes, there's like certain like trainings and stuff like that that you have to take just to keep your your skills fresh every year. But no, you don't have to like, it's not like a major learning curve. It'll be like a specific feature set that you could learn everything like within a session or so. So like it's not too much of a heavy lift.
Okay, gotcha. And it's kind of
Yeah.
like you get used to it as you go in the company and stuff.
Oh
But
yeah. Hmm.
yeah, but let's go back to the first question. So, do you think that, let's say, 50 years down the line, you think
Hmm.
technology is going to be negative or positive for us?
I hope it's positive, but
Mhm.
to be honest, there's a lot of negativity out there, bro.
Yeah. Hmm.
And especially if like, I'm gonna sound kind of cliche here, but if
Hmm.
the tech gets in the wrong hands, like
Yeah.
it's over.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
It really comes down to what is the intent of the person who are creating like these technologies and softwares and stuff like that, right? Like,
Hmm.
because if you can create a software that can help out, but like you said, the software itself could probably change, depending on the level of difficulty and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, that I mean, there's so much you could talk about. You could probably sit here all day and talk about technology and what to expect. We truly won't know until we get there. But like you
Yeah.
mentioned the movie I, Robot. Like I just feel like people are saying like, oh, in the future we're gonna get that, but I feel like the future is now. I feel like you
Oh yeah.
know, and probably in our lifetime we might end up seeing some of these things that we see in movies, and at this
Hmm.
point it's advancing so much that I'm not honestly surprised. Like I'm just kind of going with the flow where it's like,
Yeah, definitely. Like, oh
yeah,
yeah, I expected
yeah,
that.
like we gonna have like pet robots like as dogs and
Yo,
stuff. It's
facts.
like,
Holograms and shit.
yep, you're gonna hologram people in for podcasts and stuff like that.
Yo, that's crazy.
That'd be
That's fire.
crazy, right?
OD.
But one of the reasons I also wanted to bring you back on is because you've been dabbling in music, right? So
Yeah.
I know you've had that passion for a couple of years now. So tell me how you got into that.
Oof. So music for me has always been a part of my life. Like ever since I was a young teenager, probably like 12, 13,
Hmm.
when I had like that slow ass dial up connection. My grandma used to be tight because she couldn't use the phone. I'm just like, oh, I'm trying to download this song, bruh. So like even ever since then, like I used to always love music. And it always was a part of my life. It wasn't up until it was like 2018, I wanna say, that I got, like, exposed to the artist side of it versus, like, the listener side, how it have been, like, throughout my entire life kinda vibe. It's pretty funny because, you probably know this, but I was really big in photography. So, like, I had my cousin, which, Tegavelli, the
Hmm.
one that I did the new song with, he was like, "Yo, bro, pull up to my studio session so you could do your photography shit, and then you could capture like me in the studio, whatever." So I was like, "I bet." So I pulled up. Um, when I got there, I was setting all my equipment up. I'm just here like, "Yo, I'm dead ass in the studio right now. This is fire, bro." Like there was a vibe, right? So it was pretty funny because I was snapping my pics, had the flash and all that good stuff, doing my thing, and then there's a point in time where it's just like I didn't take no photos, I was just vibing, listening to him like create the music, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I left that session, and I'm just like, I always had like a mindset like, oh, if you could do it, I could do it too. So like that same night, I legit came home and I was like, damn, bro, that should look fun. Right.
Yeah.
So then I went ahead and I got I already had like the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite because of my job. So I was like, shit, let me download Adobe Audition. I loaded up Adobe Audition on my computer, looked at a couple tutorials. I already had a Blue Yeti mic, so I was just like, oh, let me just fuck around with this and try it out. And then I was dabbling with that for a quick, maybe like month or so. And then I came back to my cousin and I sent him like the rough draft. I'm like, yo, cuz,
Yeah.
hear this shit out real quick. Tell me what you think. And then ever since that, he was like, nah, bro, you a natural, fam. So then that shit got me hyped. So then I booked my own studio session in the same studio. He pulled up. And then that's when I recorded my first song ever. It's called Stack It Up. Um, and then I recorded that song. And when, bro, I kid you not, like the process, I fell in love, I think, with the process, like the songwriting process, like creating it. When I first started, I used to have a completely different workflow than I do now. So like when I first started, I had my iPhone, of course, the Notes app, and I would just hear the beat and I would just write, and then I would just like write lyrics to me hearing the beat out louder on my headphones. And then what I would do is because I didn't have like the pro skills or like the equipment yet. What I did was let's say I lasted like 4 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that 4 week span, I will write like 5 songs. Those 5 songs, I will book one studio session for like 4 hours. I will go to the studio and then I'll load up, I'll send all the beats to myself and tell
Yeah.
the engineer I plan to record 5 songs, let's bang this shit out. So that I would do it and I record all those 5 songs, right? Those 5 songs are like initial takes. And then I go home and I last like maybe another 2 weeks listening to them, like
Mm-hmm.
picking them apart, like, oh, I want to fix this, I want to fix that. And then I book another studio session to finalize those tracks. And then once I do that, then I would like, drop them on like all DSPs, like Apple Music, Spotify, and all that stuff. And
Nice.
I was doing that maybe for about a year or so
Mm-hmm.
until something. I use this person as a big, I guess, token of motivation. His name is Russ. I don't know if you know who that
The
is.
rapper.
Yeah, Russ
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
rapper.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Russ is he's very keen on like doing it yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
like he came up like creating his own beats, recording himself, mixing and mastering all his stuff. So like he was one of those people that I kind of seen and I was like, damn, this dude is like really preaching this shit. So then I was like, fuck it, let me look it up, let me try to learn this shit myself. So that's when so the industry standard in the music world for like recording in all recording studios is Pro Tools. That's the DAW, is the DAW. It's called, the DAW means digital audio workstation. So
Okay.
that's where you record all your music into, right? So you load up the beat, then you have your microphone plugged into your computer, well, into your audio interface device, and then you pretty much see everything live while you're recording it. So what I did, bro, I literally lasted like 3 months, and I told my cousin, I was like, "Yo, I'm finna learn all this shit, bro," because the studio sessions was getting expensive. It was like 30 something dollars an hour, bro,
Mm-hmm.
and it was taking up a lot of time and money, to be honest.
Right.
Like I would probably spend like each session would probably be like almost $200, and if you're doing that a couple times a month, that's like not sustainable, especially at the time. So for me, I was just like, fuck it, I'm finna save all this bread, gain more knowledge, and increase my productivity if I bring everything in house. So if I start doing shit myself, I'm gonna increase everything tenfold. So then I ended up getting a pirated version of Pro Tools. One of my boys helped me out getting it because that
Mm-hmm.
shit is like 700 beans, bro. I was like, I get
Mm.
this shit for free.
I feel you.
Yeah. So when I got, I'm still using that shit to this day, to be honest. When I got it, that's when I went on YouTube, bro, and I went crazy. I started looking up tutorials, how to do this, how to do that, how to sound like this, how to sound like that, like how to record the optimal like voice recording with all that stuff. And I've been doing it myself now for about 2 years. All I literally do is I just go on YouTube and then I look for beats, but that's about it. And then like I record myself, I mix and master my own music, and I release everything on my own through DistroKid. DistroKid is just like a service that you pay for. It's like pretty cheap. It's like $20 a month. $20 a year, and you can release as much songs as you want to Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, Pandora, all those DSPs. And yeah, bro, like right now is I'm still loving it. It's something I do like as a hobby, and I do it for fun. And I just fell in love with the process. And now, like when I compare to how I used to record when I first the way that I explained to you before, now it's completely different. Like I don't know if you ever seen like whenever artists go in the studio and then they don't like write. They just like they got the headphones on, they're in front of the mic, and then they
Freestyle.
just like freestyle and shit. So that's how I record now. So now I can't like
Damn.
listen to a beat and write to it. I have to have my headphones in, have Pro Tools loaded, put the beat in Pro Tools, and then I just like vibe out to the track. And to be honest, I'm just freestyling shit. And
Nice.
like
Yeah.
I do it line by line, and then I just write it down just so I can have the lyrics on my phone for later on. But that's my process now. Now it's like I find the beat I like, I load it in Pro Tools, and then I start. At first it sounds pretty stupid, but like I was trying to find the melody, so I'm not saying no words. I'm just like
The
like
mumbling.
mumbling and shit. Yeah, and then once I find like a specific melody, that I'm like, oh wait, this is the one. Then I kind of like plug words into that melody, and then
Okay.
it just comes out like sounding pretty good.
Yeah. So one question I have is like when you go to a studio, like like I'm talking about like mainstream studio, you have so many people in there, right? I thought it was just like a producer, the person singing, rapping, whatever the case is, and then you probably got somebody else sitting in the back doing something, right? But apparently
Yeah.
there's so many different things you can do, right? So
Yep.
you want to break that down a little bit to for like the viewers, because I feel like anytime I ask a question, I try to ask a question that I feel like somebody watching me ask. So like, can you break that down a little bit? It doesn't have to be like full details, but just kind of break down the positions of who you need and what you need to make a song.
Yeah, definitely. So like if it's like a mainstream, let's say I'm a huge artist, right? The key people that I will have in there is one, the engineer. The engineer is the person that is behind all the instruments, like in terms of like the computer itself. Like they're
Okay.
the ones that are recording you, right? Um an engineer is a person that with the right like skill set, they can turn a mediocre, average sounding kind of like song to something amazing, because they're the ones that like you know mix and master all the vocals. They add reverb, they add auto tune if needed. Like they're think of them as like the glue.
Yeah, yeah,
I would say.
yeah.
Um, yeah, they're definitely the glue when it comes to the recording process.
It's,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's kind of like the end result, right? Like they're the last ones to like touch it up and be like, all right, it's gonna go out.
Yep. So like you have the engineer. If you have um I guess connections with like producers and stuff, some folks what they do is they bring the producer in the studio with them, right? And then the producer will first like they hook up their laptop to the loudspeakers and all that shit, and then they'll cook up the beat in front of you. And then like usually the artist is just like mumbling trying to find melodies while the producer is cooking up the beat. And then once the producer has everything finalized, they like export it and then they import it into Pro Tools, so the engineer could like mess with the levels, make sure that when you are in the booth with the mic, like your voice is not getting like super like superseded from like hearing it kind of thing. To make sure like your vocals like up front, I would say. And then usually that those are like the people that I could think of. I know that some people have mastering engineers, like all they do is master music. And when I mean master is like they take the final version of the recording, and then what they do is they tweak it and mess with the leveling, so like it has like this it's like the industry level sound. So like in terms of loudness, crispiness, like a lot of people say like you want to feel the music. So they're like those people that would have that play and making sure like the listeners feel the music. Because you don't want something that's like too low when it says released, or something's like too loud, it's like distorted and shit like that. So it's like a lot of different key parts that all those people play, and so
Mhm.
like the song creation process. And some people might have like songwriters and stuff like that in the studio with them, helping them like write the lyrics for the song. Not always like all artists like make their own lyrics. Sometimes people like have other people in the studio that be like, yo bro, say this, or bro, say that. Or some other people have more like established people where it's like, oh, I have this song here, look
Mhm.
at it, let me know what what you want to add, what you want to remove, and then when you go in the booth, then you go ahead and like, make it your own type shit.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, it definitely sounds
Yeah,
like a lot of work, right?
yeah,
Yeah, and it's crazy the amount of money these people are investing into like just making one song, like like mainstream wise.
yeah.
So I could definitely see how it could come to your head to just be like, yo, let me just do this at home, let me chill, like at the end
Mm,
of the day, I'm doing this for fun, so let me enjoy my hobby and truly learn the hobby, right? But let's talk
definitely.
about your new song though. Let's what's the name of it?
It's called Nvidia. It's like a
NBA.
Spanish, yeah, it's a Spanish trap kind of
Yeah,
vibe. Yeah,
that's something I was gonna mention. I find it cool that you do Spanish songs, but you also do like rap, right? You do
yeah.
so you mix it up. You do English and Spanish. So it's like,
Hmm.
it's kind of like, oh, what's he gonna drop next? A Spanish song or English song? So it's cool that you have that. You're able to fluctuate between the two and just kind of like go down the line or whatever you're feeling. It seems like
Definitely.
the guy you did the song with. He does he stick to English and Spanish, or he does like
He does
one?
his primary like
Mm.
genre, I would say, is Spanish trap too. Like
Okay.
that's his most of his songs is like Spanish.
Mm.
It like I guess the substance of the song is in Spanish, but with Spanish trap is like you would say a couple bars and throw some English words in there
Mm.
too. So it's like
Gotcha.
a Spanglish kind of
Spanglish kind of
vibe.
vibe, yeah.
Yeah, but his shit is more like that, like Spanish trap.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about the creation of the song, from beginning to end, just kind of, how did one of you guys come up with the idea and just the process of actually making the song?
Yeah, sure. So like this song, bro, I dropped it. It's 2023 now.
Hmm.
I actually created the song. It was back in like 2021.
Wow.
That happens a lot with the music that I release. I would drop it like, let's say when I drop it, I really recorded the song like a year ago. So like it's kind of weird how that works.
Hmm.
I it's rare that like I would, let's say, cook up a song like this week and then drop it next month kind of thing.
Mm.
I usually have a lot of like things like in the stash, or like people say in the vault.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but like going back to Nvidia, like that's one of those songs that like usually whenever I have like that bug in me, bro, where I'm just like recording mad songs. I would like say Saturday, I would record like 2 3 songs, right?
Mhm.
And then just so happened to be one of them, and I was just like, yo, I listened to the beat, bro, and I'm just like, nah, this beat go crazy. Like I could, like, I don't know why, but I have an ear to like specific beat selections, and I've been trying to like improve that throughout like me making songs and stuff like that, is making sure like I could really like vibe with the beat, right? Because you don't want to like get on a song, you don't want to make a song on a beat that you're like, I don't know if I should make a song to this.
Yeah.
But like that beat just stood out, and I was like, fuck it, let me just start saying shit. And then I already knew like the crazy part is like when I heard the beat, I was like, nah, my cousin got to jump on this shit. So I kind of made the song with a vibe like that he will fit. So like that's what I do a lot. Sometimes when I'm like collaborating or have someone in mind that I want to collaborate with, I kind of like tailor the song to their style to make it easier for them to jump in and just go crazy type shit, because it's their vibe.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, so for that song, that's how it happened, and I was like, it was mad late that night, and then when I like created the first draft of it, I sent it to him. I was like, yo
Mhm.
cuz I'm cooking this shit up right now, bro, you gotta like start writing to this shit. And then when he got it, he was like, yo, this go crazy. Like the
Mhm.
song, like the beat was going crazy. He was like, I'm already starting to write. I'm like, I bet. So like for him and me, he's the one that got me into music. like actually making music. So I always like to collaborate with him and like, get him to jump on like a couple of my songs and shit. Like me and him dropped the whole EP together when I first started, and he was one of those people like that was like pushing me like, yo bro, you got this, you doing good, bro, like all that shit. So I always hold him to a certain degree when it comes to like show him love and shit like that. So
For sure.
for me, I'm like just like, yo, fuck it, bro, jump on this track, we're gonna go crazy again.
For
Yeah.
sure. But that's cool. That's cool. Do you want to play the song?
Oh yeah, the hell yeah, bro.
Let's play it. Let's play it, man. I mean, I don't think I should get copyright because at the end of the day, we got the artist on his.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, let's play it for the viewers and stuff. And I heard the song already. I think it's fire. That's specifically your verse. I mess with it.
Yeah, appreciate you, bro. Let me pull it up right quick.
For sure.
Let me know if you can hear that.
Yeah.
Ahora que estamos matando, siempre en la calle joseando. Todos son mis hijos y cuando me ven no se olvide que a mí se me besa la mano. Todas estas putas me quieren comer, desde Colombia para RD. El Richard Millie brillando lo sé, con esa envidia no saben qué hacer. Ahora que estamos matando, siempre en la calle joseando. Todos son mis hijos y cuando me ven no se olvide que a mí se me besa la mano. Todas estas putas me quieren comer, desde Colombia para RD. El Richard Millie brillando lo sé, con esa envidia no saben qué hacer.
Esa envidia se enseña, esa vaina del diablo. Se te nota, pa' mí suena raro. Tu rumbirao traicionero barato. Tu palabra no vale un centavo. Dando abrazos con 2 puñalazos. Demasiado falso para estar a mi lado. Tu flow de chamaco te no un relajo, my energy caro. We set the trends, the olas begin. All of the hate hay que reprender. De Medellín por mi tía lo haré. Do it for my bros BMT RD. Tuvo parcero, dime que lo que. Con el Richard Millie se van a joder. Con el Gary ahí se van a aprender que conmigo no se juega, bitch, I stay on my 10 toes. Down for the gang, what? Down pa' lo mío. Hago mi lío, solo no confío en amigos. Mi distinción, papi, cuando chocan conmigo. Joseo pa' lo mío, bitch, ahora solo consigo. Y me casé con Marizada. That contact she got, it go straight to the mata. Was those on my feet, those don't Balenciaga. Only way is up, si if not, tú te rajas.
Es Rolando, lo que fumo en la Zaza. Estamos sentados en el Gary, los tenis son Balenciaga. Estamos jodiendo, fumando, bebiendo. Don't take a pussy, I got the extendo. You don't talk my language, ya no te entiendo. You bitch, yeah, ira mamándome. Ahora que estamos matando, siempre en la calle joseando. Todos son mis hijos y cuando me ven no se olvide que a mí se me besa la mano. Todas estas putas me quieren comer, desde Colombia para RD. El Richard Millie brillando lo sé, con esa envidia no saben qué hacer.
Damn.
That shit, bro, I'm telling you, bro, that song, bro, that shit go crazy.
That beat drop is crazy. Like the I think I counted like 3 or 4 beat drops that like, damn, they go hard, man.
OD. It's so funny, bro, because like I always have like the specific people that I always show my songs to before it drops, right? So like I show my wife, my little sister boyfriend, and my little sister always, because they're always like they live like obviously I live with my wife, and then my little sister lives in the area, and her boyfriend. So like I always tell them, yo, take a look at this, or I'll play it when they come over type shit.
Yeah.
And I got an idea. You see that Young Papi, and then the moi sound, that sound. It's so funny because I was just like I was playing it for my little sister and her boyfriend, and I was like, yo, it'd be fire if if she says Young Papi and it goes moi right after. So then I put her like I mic'd her up and shit, and then we recorded that part, and that shit came out like perfect, bro. It just like I don't know what it is, but like sometimes like the background vocals like add a specific vibe to the song that's just like, oh, this shit go crazy.
Nah, for sure, yeah. Nah, that song definitely slap. I ain't gonna lie, like at the end of the day, like I'm gonna keep it real, and then, like you said, you show it to these people before you release it because it's like you want their true opinion. But I would definitely say this is one of the better songs I heard that you've made. So
appreciate you, bro.
For sure. But nah, that definitely go hard, and it's on YouTube. You have it on like Spotify. What else?
Yeah, it's on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. It's on all DSPs, Tidal, and everything.
All right, cool. So NVIDIA, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Media.
so we're gonna have NVIDIA. The link is gonna be in the description. Y'all wanna go listen to it, stream it, share it. Yeah, and that's crazy that it's a hobby to you, and you're able to make these songs. It sounds professional. I don't hear, sometimes when you hear certain new artists and stuff like that, like you can find the little loopholes in the songs, like, ooh, that could have been better, or it could have been louder. The voice is too low, or it's crackling. Little things like that, right? But it makes sense why you take so long to release it, because you want to make sure it's perfect to the T.
Yeah, it's crazy because like a lot of times, I kid you not, I will listen to the song maybe like 30 to 40 times in the span of like from when I make it to when I release it, just to make sure that it's like, it's weird because I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to it a little bit, but I never let any imperfection hold me back from releasing a song. So like, let's say if I drop a song and I'm like, oh damn, I could have done this better, I just take it with a grain of salt and then apply it to the next one that I make, and make sure like I hit those specific key points that I missed in the other song, just to make sure like everything is progression. Because like if you was to go to like the first track that I released, bro, and then this one, my latest one, you can hear the difference off rip. Like you'll be able to tell, and for me, that's one of the things that I pride myself for, is like making sure like the listener, if you hear like some of my old shit back in that I dropped in like 2019, and you listen to my shit now, you'll hear the progression and like the improvement that I have in like my mixing and mastering skills. So like you saying that like it sounds professional and shit, I appreciate that, bro. Because like it just goes to show like I'm doing something right.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I heard what you dropped earlier, a couple years ago, and like the difference to now, I definitely see the improvement, and the best thing about it is you're having fun with it, and that's what matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely.
As long as you're progressing, but you're also having fun, I feel like at that point you can't lose. So keep it up, keep it going, and I'm excited to hear the other songs you got coming in the future.
Appreciate you, bro, for sure.
But let's talk a little bit about your circle. You mentioned your girl. You mentioned your sister, her man. I know back a couple years ago you did a YouTube channel with your little sister, right? And I noticed anytime like you post stuff so like that, it's like little circle of like four. So talk about give them a shout out and talk a little bit about that circle and how you guys are day to day.
Oh, of course. So definitely shout out to Arlene. That's my wife. Shout out to D Smiling. That's my little sister. Shout out to Justin. That's my what's that shit called in Spanish? Yeah, brother-in-law is damn, I don't know.
Cuñado?
I don't know. Cuñado. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, el cuñado.
The cuñado right there. But yeah, bro, like ever since I think like you mentioned, I had a YouTube channel with my little sister. And I think that's what like really started it off, because me and my little sister got introduced like pretty late in life, to be honest. I was probably like 16 and she was like 7. So it's like a big age gap between me and her. Like I think she's 21 right now, turning 22 this year, and I just turned 29. So like there's a big age gap, and usually whenever there's like that much of an age gap, it's pretty hard for like the kids to like really sync or be like tapped in with each other.
Right.
But for us, it's like that shit natural, bro. Like ever since she came to like the United States, because she was in DR and shit, we just established this bond. Like me, my wife, and my little sister, we have like this unbreakable bond that like no matter what we're going through, bro, we could rely on each other type shit. And it was so funny when we had the YouTube channel and we created the YouTube channel. That's what really got me into like video production, editing, and all that stuff. And I was like the tech behind it, right? So like I edited all our videos, did everything, and then my wife, she will be behind the camera, and it's like one of those things where it's like I don't know if you ever if you remember like the Proud Family. But like you could never see like Aaron's like top half. It's just like the bottom half. Yeah. It was like one of those vibes, but she was always like that, like the conscious voice that you hear in the back. Yeah. And it just added like that extra substance. And then she became like a character in our YouTube channel. And when me and my little sister were sitting in front of the camera just doing like challenges and shit like that, it was amazing, bro. And then I know that we stopped for a while. And I think it was mainly because the transition that I had to move down here, so it was like much harder to make videos. So that's
Yeah.
why one of the reasons that we stopped, and like doing the YouTube channel. And we always talk about it. We're just like, damn, yo, have we still been making videos and shit?
Yeah.
We would have been going crazy. Because one of our videos, it was a reaction video. We were doing like I don't know if you know this guy named Q Park.
Yeah,
He would do
yeah,
like
yeah,
in
yeah.
New
The
York
Asian.
City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Asian
Mm-hmm.
guy. He
Yeah.
would just be in New York City with the headphones and dancing and shit, like going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our reactions to him hit like 300K views. And when that shit happened, I was like, yo, one of our videos hit 300,000 views, bro. That's wild. And then, like whenever I see views, I think of people. So
Mm-hmm.
like imagine like some people be like, oh, 100 views is not a lot, but it's like, bro, if you do, imagine recording your content in front of 100 people looking at you at the same time.
Yep.
Like that shit would be crazy. So like I kind of like make that comparison when it comes to that, but it was definitely a fun journey. It showed me a lot of things. It helped build my skill set and her skill set too to where we're at right now. So like right now she's doing like a lot of TikToks and she's on TikTok heavy. I think they recently hit like her and her boyfriend have like a couples page and they do like skits and shit. So they got like 30K on TikTok. So they're doing their thing on TikTok for sure.
Nice.
And then for me, it's like I just kept doing like the music thing. And I started recording my own videos, dropping like those live session videos
Mm.
of like where I'm standing in front of the mic and like doing like a performance for the
Yeah,
song,
yeah.
and like fucking with the lights and shit. And I recently got not too long ago this camera here. This is the Sony
Ooh.
A6400.
Yeah, yeah.
This joint, bro, official.
Yeah. You like it better than the like what is it, the G7 all that? They're up
Yeah,
to 9 now, right? No? G9,
yeah. I
G9,
think
yeah. I think they're up to
for
9.
me, yeah, for me, I love interchangeable lens. So like if you tell me, oh, this is a camera here, it does 4K, is amazing quality. You don't
Yeah.
have to worry about anything, and autofocuses and all that shit. For me, if it doesn't have an interchangeable lens where I could change it from like a 16 mil to like a 50, 35 mil, like I just can't do it.
Yeah.
There's some people that don't care about it, but for me, I care because I also like I use that camera to take photos and stuff. So like I want to be able to have like the flexibility, right? Of like being able to pop in a different lens so I could, take a picture or shoot a video a specific way. So like I'm very like nitpicky about those kind of things. But
Yeah.
yeah, for me is mainly that.
No, yeah. I mean, listen, we could sit here and talk about cameras all day because I'm personally looking into it myself. Everybody's like telling me, like, yo, you should blog, you should blog. Because I'm always doing stuff, especially like on weekends and stuff like that. Like, I'm always going out and about.
Yeah, bro, I'll be pimping a story. You be out of
Yeah.
nowhere. Like, the fuck, this nigga is like in a beach somewhere, tropical ass island. What the hell, bro?
Yeah. So it's like, like I'm grateful for it. I'm that guy that's like humble for everything that happens in my life, but I also try to make the best out of it. But at this point, I owe it to like my viewers to like keep them updated with my life because it's kind of like I have to be an open book. If I'm not an open book in the podcast, if I'm not an open book in any video I drop, like it's gonna be hard to relate to me if I'm not. At the end of the day, there's certain things that maybe should be kept private and stuff like that. But how I try to view life is at the end of the day, like somebody's gonna take something out of it. So I want people to see the good in my life, but I also want people to see the bad. Like I'm not perfect. Not everything in my life is gonna be perfect, but like I want to bring you on the journey with me. So it's like maybe the next 2 weeks gonna be perfect. I'm gonna enjoy the videos, and then that next week might be a little slow. It might slow down a little bit, but I'm just trying to see how am I gonna incorporate it because at the end of the day, I'm a little worried about posting like vlog videos and stuff like that on the Flip Talk podcast page.
I see what you're saying.
Because there's a lot of people out there that do it and stuff like that, where they drop both content and it's kind of relatable, right? But I don't want the vlogs and stuff like that to take away from the channel. So from the take away from the podcast itself, right? So I'm trying to see how I'm gonna incorporate that into it. I'm still deciding. There's a possibility there could be a secondary channel, stuff like that. But maybe I'll try a couple videos and see how it goes, stuff like that. I got a couple trips coming up, which is gonna be crazy. But
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but
one of the things that I did and am still doing whenever we want to do it is like I have my music channel, right? So like of course I drop music related content there, and then there's some artists where they like you said, like you want to make sure like you bring people on your journey and melt like make sure people feel relatable to you however they can. So like they drop these like vlog style videos, right? So what I started doing is like to make it a little bit more interesting and stuff too. Me and my wife, whenever we do like specific trips, but of course we talk about it beforehand. Like we record like specific highlights of the trip. So like we will vlog the entire trip, just have like specific clips.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like when you're on a trip, bro, and you vlogging, like you might think like, damn, I don't want to be the whole trip vlogging and shit. Like you literally, bro, 3 minutes of like you showing what you're doing or activity, there's gonna be like 30 clips of that, especially if you're gonna stay somewhere for like a couple days. And you the way that I think about vlogs is like storytelling, right? So there's like there's like a beginning, a middle, climax, and then an end with like leaving the area or coming back. And you could, I don't know if you ever seen them on my, they're on my music channel too. You could take a look at it. But I did like one for a DR trip with my mom. I did one when we went to the West Coast. It was pretty cool. It was our first time going to the West Coast.
Nice.
I did one for my birthday, and then like these kind of videos are always fun for me because it's like out of the norm content. So it's kind of like, oh, I just get to show whatever the hell I want because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like that gives you that view, that point of view. Yeah. And you can also, if you want to, you can also do like shorts too, of like just take like specific video clips. Like you don't have to be like a whole vlog, but it could be like specific highlights, recaps of like the trip, and then you can post it as a short. It's short form content, so like people still could find it relatable and it's entertaining as well. So those are like a couple of things that I would recommend.
Yeah, definitely. No, yeah, and I'm one of those people that I actually enjoy editing a video, so it's kind of nice to like take a little break sometimes from like editing a podcast and just kind of be like, oh, let me record my trip, and it's kind of like you're going back to your footage, reminiscing and stuff like that. So you get that's where you got to tap into your creative side too, to where like, oh, like I want to make sure I show them this. I want to make sure I show them this conversation. This part was funny, like something happened here.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like the little things, and it's kind of like a lot of people come to watch these videos for different reasons. So maybe some people want to see how that hotel you stayed at is. Like, they may not care about your trip, but they're like, I want to see the amenities this hotel has. So they'll just pull up to the video and be like, all right, where you stayed at? Let me see. So just to give you a little insider, right? What I'm trying to do is on my next trip, I was thinking about recording a podcast out there.
Oh, that's
so that'll kind of be like the first episode that's kind of like mobile, because there's gonna be a couple people going with me to that trip. So maybe I could just sit down, have conversations. Maybe I could like record 2 podcasts, within that one trip. But it's just one of those things where you gotta like worry about carrying your equipment around, stuff like that. So it makes it a little more difficult. Thankfully I have like mobile equipment, right, which I can take with me on the go. But it's just kind of like, do I want to take a whole extra suitcase just to throw these things in there? But I also think about the like trying to be productive in the podcast. I'm like, I kind of gotta do it, bro. Like,
yeah, I feel you. And there's also like other ways that you could do it too. Like we were trying out the podcasting thing. When me and my little sister, my wife and her boyfriend lived together, we was recording like off of the camera, and we will have our phone as a backup. And this joint saved a couple times. But like one of those things, like I could see the vision, bro. Like, and it will probably look so fire too, like visually, and like it's gonna be a vibe because you're gonna be on a trip with your close ones, and then y'all gonna have that energy, bro. Like it'll be fire. Like you should try it.
Especially having a couple people on a podcast with a couple drinks in the system. You don't know what's gonna be said. You know what I'm saying? Like that creates content on its own.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But so yeah, I mean, I like that you brought up the whole phone thing, because a lot of people don't understand the battery life system, and when you have these cameras, man, it's hit or miss. Sometimes it could be in the middle of recording and just shuts off. You still talking, you think it's still recording. So it's kind of, I know for you it was kind of nice having your wife behind the camera because she kept the eye on like the battery, stuff like that. She was like, like, hey, stop real quick, I gotta change up the batteries. So that's kind of something I'm thinking about. I'm like, am I gonna have somebody behind the camera, like, adjusting and stuff like that? Because but I also want to take advantage, because you could look at little things like enjoy the lighting, like if you put it in the right spot at the right time of the day, that that lighting is gonna be crazy. It's just gonna be a vibe. You may hear like some waves in the background type of thing. So
that's fire, bro. I'm telling you, bro.
I'm just trying to really go out of my way to try to make it happen. I really hope it does. So that kind of puts a little bit of pressure now that I said it on the podcast, right? But
yeah,
that's what it's all about, right?
Definitely, bro. And if you want to get like an idea of what that would look like, if you look, I don't know if you've seen the episode that Lil Yachty and Drake had like a podcast kind of style video. They did it on like on a beach, and you can look it up. You just type like Lil Yachty Drake podcast, and then you can see like how they set it up. Like they had like chairs on the beach and shit, and then it was just like it was like a regular conversation. So I could picture like your group like doing that. Like that would be fire.
Nice. Nah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm thinking because it could be like a whole balcony kind of view, like depending how big it is, where you can see everything, where you're like kind of looking in the background, or is it kind of like, do you want to go to the beach, or do you want to do like poolside next to the bar, like, or kind of do it at the bar, or put it behind the bar, be like, yo, let me put my camera there, this and that. So I'm just full of ideas right now. I mean, that's probably one of the best things about like being a content creator. It's just, it gets your juices flowing, and you're just like, yo, like I got 1,000 ideas. I want to do them all, but I'm just really curious to see how it's gonna end up being at the end.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's something I feel like me and you always had to relate on, like just the whole content creating. Because I remember around the time that I did start YouTube, that's when you were doing YouTube too. So like, when you find out I had a YouTube channel, like, oh shit, you do YouTube too? Yeah. Because I always make sure to show support to anybody that I know or whatever they're doing, right? So I always like drop comments and stuff like that on your page, and then like one day I was like, yeah, I'm working on my video. You're like, wait, you're doing what? So let me give you a little backstory. So I started YouTube because I had a friend in the firehouse. He had a brother that was a YouTuber, right? And at the time he had like 90,000 subscribers, right? And he was getting close to the 100K. They send you the plaque when you get 100K subscribers. Yeah. So when the plaque came in, I was at the house that day. I was hanging out with them, and he always used to be on the computer editing and stuff like that. And like the day before he got the plaque, I'm like, yo, like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, let me show you. Like, I'm doing YouTube, this and that. Like, like I'm actually making money from. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, and he just showing me like, he had like thousands of videos up already. He had like 5-6 years doing it already, right? So so I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, that'd be cool. Yeah. I'm like, I'll be watching at the time like What's Chris Move and stuff like that. They used to drop the 2K videos. I'm like, yeah, I'll be watching like the gaming community a little bit on YouTube. And he's like, yo, like if you're good at it, you should try. And I'm like, maybe I will. So it's kind of like the same experience you had with the studio where you went out there because of your cousin, and then you're like, yo, I actually like this. That's the same experience I had, to where I saw it firsthand. I saw him editing a little bit of stuff like that. So I just told him like, yo, let me know what program to download, and let me know the process, and then that's it. So you learn as you go. Obviously your first video is horrible. And that's like almost expected whenever you're doing something for the first time. Like, it's gonna be trash.
You gotta live with that.
You have to go through those.
Yeah, you have to go through that, like those emotions, that reality, because that's what, like, later down the road you're gonna look back and like, yo, had I never did it, I wouldn't have been where I'm at right now. And like right now, I feel like your content, bro, is super fire. Like, I love it. It's very relatable for me, and it's like one of those things where if I'm at work, I just play it, boom, and then I can hear you. You interact with the guests, hear Alex and stuff like that. So like, it's always great to see that and have that outlet to go to.
Yeah, I appreciate it, because just like earlier when I said, like I could see you put the work into making your song, and it's kind of like, you took that in, and you're like, yo, thank you, because it's like that's what you aim for, right? So when I do a podcast, I try to keep it as professional as possible, but I also just try to make it a regular conversation. Like, you shouldn't be coming on here be stressed. You shouldn't be like you shouldn't be nervous. You shouldn't be stuttering. Like, you should just be chilling, having a conversation. like if you know me from the past, just reminiscing, like that's what it's all about. Just about 2 people, 3 people, whatever the case is, sitting down, having a conversation, and enjoying it, and taking something out of it, you know. Because these are things that, like, well, whatever we're talking about, these are things we both thought about. We just never had a conversation together about it, right? Because it's like, I know you was doing YouTube, you knew I was doing YouTube. It's kind of like, yo, keep grinding. Like, we will always tell each other to push it. So it's kind of like, I'm glad that you know how difficult it is. Like,
yes,
not everybody watching this, and it's okay if you don't understand, but take it from us. Like, it's not easy. It doesn't get easier.
Bro, the grind is crazy.
and it's crazy because the more you grind, the harder you have to go. Because the moment your videos, for example, for my podcast, the moment my podcast takes off, right? Where it's like, let's say I drop a really good podcast, I gotta be like, damn, the next one I drop gotta be better. Like, how do I top that? So it's kind of like, I have to see what conversations I had in the past so that I'm not having these conversations again. And if I am having these conversations again with somebody, I have to find a way to make it about, like, their personality and their life to where it doesn't feel like repetitive. Because if I could bring somebody new every day on and just ask them the same question, at some point it's like, yo, I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's predictable, yeah.
Like, I have to make sure myself I'm not repeating myself, but sometimes I have to, because I'm like, oh, you know, this 2 podcasts ago we were talking about this, and it's kind of like, what's your opinion on it? So it's you have to get creative with it. You have to keep the conversations going, and you just have to truly know the person you're bringing on. If you're bringing somebody on that you truly don't know, it's just a whole different level to it, because you're kind of like learning the person as you talk, coming up with new questions, right? Like, for example, this conversation is easy for me because I know you from high school, you know, and stuff like that. I've stayed in touch with you. But if I bring somebody on that I haven't spoke to in 10 years, they might hit me with some shit that I'm like, yo, you doing what? When you, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, sometimes you see my face and it's like, I'm mind blown, you know? Like, for example, like when I had my boy Juan on from college, like he's changed so much since college. So it's kind of like, the whole time he just had me surprised. I'm like, wait, you doing what? You did what? You know? And it's cool. It's cool. That's how you see how people evolve. It's okay to have change. But yeah, man, I'm definitely passionate about the whole YouTube grind, and I'm just glad you know that the struggles behind it.
Definitely, bro. Trust me. It's like, it's music to the ears, and then, like, it's just so relatable, because when I first started doing, like, YouTube and stuff, like, you can ask my wife, bro. Like, I was up to like 3 a.m. watching these tutorials, how to get 100 views, how to edit in Premiere Pro, and like just all these things that, like if let's say I'm watching like a Cash Nasty style video, right? It's like, how the hell do I add these sound effects? The dunk.
Yeah.
You know, I had a gaming channel at some point, and I was doing like 2K content, and I was really able to show my creativity there, bro, because I would do like a lot of like sound effects, and it will match like what's happening in the gameplay. And like that process, bro, when I used to edit those videos, it used to take days. But when I dropped it, I would watch it, I was like, yo, this is amazing. This, like, I was able to put what was up here in the screen. Like, it's super fire, bro. So I definitely understand you, and I hear when you say the struggle is real, the grind is real.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you have to come up with a system, because like for me, like when I'm doing my podcast, like thankfully now I have a little system. Like, I'm gonna edit it this way. Like, I already know, edit it here, do it here. Like, I kind of have an idea of how to get that done within a couple hours, right? But it's one of those things where it's like it is a long video. It is, so you have to rewatch it, and it takes a couple hours to like, you know, like you do your edits and then you have to go back, rewatch everything, make sure you didn't miss anything,
sure it makes
right?
Sense. Yeah.
So it's one of those grinds, but like, you know, deep down, like I do have a level of obsession with it. So somehow, some way, I enjoy it, and it is what it is. But tell me a little bit about how you met your wife, and you know how you guys got to the marriage point.
Of course. It was pretty funny because me and her, we actually went to the same elementary school, PS 161. And if anybody knows that school and they're in the Manhattan area, Spanish Harlem, they will know. But it's pretty much, it was a public elementary school in 133rd Street and Amsterdam Avenue. And it was so funny because for me, like in schooling wise, I went to P2C1, which was on Amsterdam Ave on 33rd. Then on my middle school, I went to IS 195, which is down the block, legit. And then my high school, Randolph, was up the block. And then for college, that's when I branched out. But yeah, like it was funny because at that time it was like 2008, and if you remember at that time, bro, like AIM was going crazy. Like everybody had sidekicks and shit. It was wild, bro.
For those of y'all that don't know, AIM was a program that we used to like conversate. It's kind of like WhatsApp, but in that era, you know, where you just message people and stuff like that.
Yeah, the strictly instant messaging.
And you will create a username.
Yep, username, status, all that good stuff. It was one of those things like you had to live through it to understand like the hype about it. But it was bro, that shit was crazy. The whole AIM era. And it was funny because we got put into contact with one of our mutual friends. And we were doing like 3-ways and stuff, and she ended up being one of the people that we called. And then when ever since that conversation, we like exchanged aims and all that stuff, and then we just kept talking. And we probably talked for about a couple of months, maybe like 4 or 5 months. And it was so ironic because she was like, "Oh no, I don't want you to see me in person, whatever," because like during that time, like we were young, bro. We were like 13, 14. You didn't know who you was gonna meet up with.
Yeah.
And it was so ironic though because like of course later on in life she literally lived 2 blocks away from me. I was living at 133rd and she was living at 135th. And in my head I'm like, how in the hell did we have we never bumped into each other?
Yeah.
like it's literally crazy.
2 blocks is nothing. Like
yeah, bro.
The radius is nothing. It's like yo, at some point the bodega or something, right?
Yep, definitely. And it's pretty crazy because in those blocks on Broadway from 133rd up until like 137th, every single block is like a different like village, bro. Like it's a different vibe. So like 133rd, that was where I was at. I had my clique. On 134th, that's everybody in 134th. They had a clique. And 135th, that was like a whole different section. Like it was crazy. It's like a block apart, but like everybody had their cliques. And like in that area, like you representing like your block type shit.
Yeah.
So it was pretty funny how that happened. But yeah, we ended up meeting each other in person one time, and I always bust her chops right now up to this point because when we first met, she, you remember in that era like ENTs and shit was like going crazy. So like she was actually, we met up real quick in 137 train station. She was going to like a meet for ENT or whatever. And then we met up later on that night, but like to this day I just like be fucking with her. I'll be like, yo, when we first met you dipped on me type shit. Like but we met up later on that night. Yeah.
So for those of y'all that don't know, ENT is entertainment. So pretty much it's like there used to be groups that will throw party, but it will be team bashes. So it'll be like for people who are under 18, you can't drink, stuff like that. So they'll rent out a lounge or something, or they might do a house party, and it'll be a certain ENT hosting it. People will show up, girls will show up, guys will show up, and you will use aims to communicate. So you like people that maybe you don't know, like Edgar was saying, like you don't know what they look like or stuff like that, but you just be like, hey, come to the party so we can meet, this and that. And it's funny because a lot of times I remember I used to go to these parties and people will call me by my scream name. They'll be like, "Oh, are you whatever?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, you the person I've been messaging the last 2 months?" Like,
it was so crazy, bro. And you know, funny? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and the only way you know is them is because of their voice, because like you'll talk on the phone with them and stuff like that. Yeah. So like the voice will be deceiving. Sometimes you'll hear like a certain voice, and you automatically put a face to the voice. You're like, oh, this person looks like this. You know what I'm saying? And then when you meet them, you're like, yo, you look completely different from what I thought you would look.
Facts, bro. It's like like you said, like the voice don't match the image you had in your head. And you know what's funny? I was gonna say, like, when I think about it now, bro, I'll be thinking like, how in the hell did these ENT dudes or the groups, like, how the hell they used to get these empty apartments, bro, and throw house parties? Like, I just don't know how the hell they did it, but they did it somehow. And I got into like back in the days, and I didn't even think about it. That never came to my mind. I was thinking about like, yo, we about to turn up type shit. But like now as an adult, I'm like, how the fuck did they get their hands on
Yeah,
that?
sometimes you go into some random person's house that you never met, and it's like, you're walking around the house freely and stuff, like packed. You could barely walk. It takes you like 5 minutes to get out of one apartment.
And it's always dark as fuck. Lights is always off, bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But sometimes people used to throw parties when like the parents will go away. Sometimes people will just pay the person the right amount of money to throw a party in the house. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, we'll bring all the girls, stuff like that, and it's like, all right, I'll throw a party in my house, fine. So it's kind of like, it's like one of those things where you just gotta be convincing, right?
Definitely.
But yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. We could go back to the story. So yeah, went to ET party.
Yeah, so she went to that, and then we linked up later on that night. And then we started chopping it up from there, bro. Like ever since then, like because we lived so close, it was so easy to like link up. And we always had like the specific spot on Riverside, but it was like near the pier. If you remember, where that boat always used to be docked at, we always like meet up there. At the time there was like a supermarket there, but now it's not there anymore. But we used to meet there all the time, bro. That used to be like our spot because it was like kind of away from everything else, but like it was like secluded enough that we could just chill in peace, and just like chill and relax. But yeah, bro, like that was like 2008, and then fast forward probably like up until like we were just doing day-to-day things, dating, of course, going on dates. That was hella fun.
Yeah,
It's the list when we go on dates now, but like back in those days, like a date could be considered like, oh, let's pick up McDonald's or link up with you at McDonald's type shit.
Sit at McDonald's for like 3 hours.
Yeah, bro. It was crazy because I mean, we was like, I was 15, she was 14, so like I had a job. I was living off my allowance. Whenever my pops would swing by, he'd drop off like $10 for the week. So I had to make that shit stretch. So I was like, hey, make it easy, it is.
I feel you, man.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, fast forward a little bit. We actually lived together. I was living at her mom's crib for a little bit, and then from there we got our first place in the Bronx. And that shit was fire because it was like a major accomplishment because we always seen everybody else like doing it, and we're like, damn, I can't wait till it's us. Can't wait till it's us. And then we actually did it. And this was like in 2018 that we moved in into our first apartment together. It was a little small 1-bedroom, but it was in the Bronx. We were paying like $1,400 at the time, and it was amazing, bro. Like when I'm thinking back to like privacy and like peace of mind, there's nothing that beats that. Having like your significant other living in the same space as you. It's just you and them. Like that's an amazing feeling. And then once we moved out, we were always good when it comes to like finances. She's great at financing. So like we always had like a lot of spreadsheets, write down a whole bunch of our expenses, plan out like specific things that we want to save for and stuff like that. And the goal was always to leave New York because we were realistic with each other and we're like, yo, we're not gonna be able to get a good house in the city, bro. And at that time we was looking in the Bronx for like purchasing like a townhome or something. And we were just like, yo, this is horrible. we didn't like it. So we were just like thinking about moving, and then it just so happened that like at that time we were living in that place, and when the pandemic hit in 2020, that's when I got the job offer to come down to the DMV area to lead the DC office. And that was like one of those things that's like, yo, let's take it now because we don't know what was gonna happen, right? And we took a leap, to be honest. Like we don't have nobody down here in the Virginia DMV area, so it's literally just at the time it was just us. And that move process was crazy, bro. Like we had to literally, it was March, and we had to literally come down here and find a place to live within the next 2 weeks because my start date was April 1st. So you could only imagine. We had to fly down here, go to like a couple different properties, choose a property we want, do all the paperwork for it, and then just like do the actual move. So we rented like a U-Haul, packed up everything in the 1 bedroom, bro, and drove down. That was
Yeah.
crazy.
It's one of those
It was
things. It's one of those
yeah,
things like you don't even have time to think. You just gotta like keep going. And
just
when you sit down on the couch, you're like, oh crap, like we're here now. Like that's when it hits you, right?
definitely, bro. It was crazy. And then once we moved down here, it was really just me and her. Like we couldn't just like get in the car, drive to her mom, get in the car, drive to my mom's. It's like now we have to like plan like specific times where our mom's gotta come down. And then it so happened that my little sister and her boyfriend was looking to move out of New York City because they will come over and stuff to our crib, and they'll just like they'll love it, like everything down here, and like the peace of mind, the quietness that this area brings and stuff. Like going from like New York madness to like an area like this is completely different, bro. And everybody, whenever I meet people out here, and then they'll be like, and they'll be like, "Oh, where are you from?" And I'm like, "New York City." They just have like this look on their face, like, "Oh shit, you're from New York." And then they have like that look on their face, like, "Oh damn, I'll give you props. You survived."
Yeah.
And they'll be like, "Oh, I love New York City, but only to visit. I don't think I want to move there. It's just too expensive. And then the apartments living is it's horrible." But we stayed in that apartment for maybe like a year, and ever since up till now, bro, ever since then, when we moved in 2020, we've moved every single year up to now. So like we recently moved to this apartment right now, and I told my wife, I'm like, listen, I don't want to move again until the next step from here is like going and purchasing like either a townhome or single family house for us. So like that's where the cars lay for us, and we're planning on just staying here for a while. And then it was kind of surreal because like me and her, we want to have kids and stuff. So like we were saying like, oh, this is probably going to be the apartment where our kids is going to be,
Nice.
born in and stuff like that. And it's funny because we had like a thought in mind and planning for it already. So we came into like a 2 bedroom, and stuff like that. So when it does happen, everything is there.
Yeah.
And then from there, we're looking to definitely purchase something and become homeowners within the next like 4 or 5 years. So
It's
for
amazing.
us, it's like the chips are like falling in place for us. So that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. And then before going back a little bit, I think I skipped it, but we went out to a trip to Mexico in 2019,
Nice.
and that's when I proposed to her in Mexico. And the crazy part is like we wasn't expecting all this pandemic stuff to happen. So the experience for us to like actually get married was a crazy experience because we lasted about like a year and some change like engaged. And then in the planning process, when we came down here, we like looked at like specific venues and stuff, and we actually put a deposit in for like this community center. There was like a big community center in a park. It looked really, really pretty. And we had like a vision for like specific things and how like to make it look and stuff. And we ended up having to shift gears and cancel that because the pandemic got worse in 2021. And then that's when we found this spot in the DC in the district, the DC area, and it's called Pinstripes, and it's pretty much just like a bistro. It's like a bar and a restaurant, and they ended up having a bowling alley in the ground level too.
Nice.
So we ended up doing it there. We did it pretty intimate. It was like about 50 something people. And we chose the people that we felt like would actually make the trip down here. Because that's another thing. Like when you move far away, bro, that's when you really see who really fuck with you.
Really fuck.
Because
Facts.
people is not gonna hop on no 4 or 5 hour train ride to go see you if they don't mess with you. So
It's not even
for
that.
us,
It's also like taking out time, using that PTO and stuff like that. Sometimes people are like, nah, I need to use that PTO in the summer or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but you're right. I agree. If whoever makes that move, like, actually goes down there and stuff like that, shows who the real ones are for sure.
yeah, definitely. And it just so happened to like It was my little sister, her boyfriend, and my wife's mom, and then my mom. Like those are the only people that really come out here. To be honest, and of course, we have a couple of people that for specific events and stuff they fly out, but on average, like that's the people that we mainly see. Um, but yeah, bro, like that's pretty much it.
This
Like,
is Nah,
it's been a roller coaster.
nah, definitely. I mean, it definitely sounds like there's a lot of story behind that because I go all the way back to you said to middle school, technically, like
Yeah.
so. There's a lot of history there, regardless if y'all were together during that time or not. It just kind of it's a story of his own. I know there's so much you can talk about, but it's not enough time in the world to like explain all that, right?
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
But shout out to your wife. It seems like she's
Appreciate
holding you down, and clearly, you got some love for her, right? Being so with her so many years, right?
Yep, definitely.
And I personally like couples who make it like through the whole like because you were dating her in high school and throughout high school and all that. So it's like it's nice to see that you marry the person you were with in high school because a lot of times like the person you're with in high school like you don't make it. Like it's like the odds are against you because what happens is you may be together all 4 years, but after high school it's like, oh, I'm going off to college, like I'm a dorm, and then long distance most of the time doesn't work out. Yeah. And if it does, it's obviously there's some true love there, right? But I just find it fascinating how people can make it through high school, can make it through college, and just like find a way to like go through the whole process of like, oh, okay, let's try to live together. And then it's like, let's get married, and then now the whole process of like, let's try to have kids, and let's try to buy a house down the line, which is currently where you're probably at, right? So
yeah,
it's your story, and is what's great about it is like y'all story together because like nobody else was truly there every single day but y'all too, right?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Like, from the outside looking in, it's kind of like, oh, okay, cool, like they're together, but people don't know, right?
And yeah, there's a lot of things that definitely happen, bro. Like that it's one of those things where like you said is crazy to see that because like nowadays you don't really hear that, like, oh yeah, I've been together with this person for 12 plus years. Just like, what, 12 years? they have like that kind of reaction. So I definitely feel you on that for sure,
especially still being young. Like,
yeah,
it's not like you said here saying I'm 45, I'm 50. Like, nah. You're still in your 20s. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's the crazy part.
Nah, but like that shows commitment. That shows how loyal you are to the relationship, and also shows how loyal she is to the relationship. So it can only go up from there, right?
Hell yeah.
yeah. But shout out to her, holding it down. I'm glad you're holding down my boy over there. So let me ask you, do you currently have a muse in your life? Just for overall the driving you to just keep going every day. And if you do have a muse, what is it?
For me, I think it has to be a collective, right? It's not like one specific person per se, but I think it's like my circle. Like they are my muse because like I always want to do things with great intentions and make sure like that whatever expectations they're holding me up to, I'm able to meet those expectations and supersede them too. Like, getting up every morning and going to work is like, for me, it has more meaning behind it because at the end of the day is coming back to like my home situation, right? So it's like being able to support my wife, being able to bring her happiness and all that stuff, and bring happiness to like my little sister, her boyfriend, like in doing specific things that we do, like travel and stuff like that. Like I feel like those are the things that I look forward to, and I always do things with like them in the back of my mind. Yeah. So like the specific things that I do, like even though music, I'm doing it for fun, but you never know. Maybe one day one of my songs go crazy and then it's up. Like I already have like that tight knit circle that could keep me real and like keep me grounded and keep me humble. Like that I feel like that's what I see, and those are the people that I do things for on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I could relate to that. I feel like having a circle, especially when it's a small circle, It helps in so many different ways. It could help on a mental health level, to where you need to talk to somebody one day, and you will at some point, right? So,
Yeah.
and let's say there's certain conversations you have with your wife, but there's certain conversations you may have with your sister's man. Like, maybe you want to talk to a guy about it, where it's like more of a manly conversation, right? Sometimes you have certain people you go to for certain things. So, for example, let's say you have like two best friends, right? You have a best friend you talk a little more serious stuff with, and then you have a best friend where it's more of a entertainment kind of thing, like, oh, let's go out together, like, let's vacation together, right? So it's kind of like dividing what makes you feel comfortable. And a lot of times people have muses that aren't a person. It could be a thing, which I find fascinating, because sometimes it could be, for example, a specific item or something, right? Maybe if you're like an athlete, your muse is to like get that World Series or that championship, right? And just you have some type of value behind that. Let's say it's like you're a fighter, that belt, like your whole life revolves around trying to get that belt. So I just personally find it fascinating to hear where people's muses come from, because how I see it is, if you could find somebody's muse, it shows so much about their life to you, because it's to a deeper level of what is their meaning of life. So what you just told me is your muse is your circle, which is your family. So your purpose is your family. You see where I'm coming from with this? It's like on some deep level, right? And it's kind of like you can branch off into so many different conversations from that, but it all comes back to that root where it's like, oh, why do I go so hard? I go hard for my family. I go hard for my circle. Like, I want to make sure I'm doing good to motivate them. And I can relate, because like my family's like that too. Like, I have older brothers, and my whole drive, my whole like trying to be like some type of successful in my life came from them. And I just feel like if they weren't an example for me, I don't know if I will have that same mentality I have now, right? So it's like those little things in life that like flip that switch. And I love talking about that with everybody that I bring on. It's just kind of like, what keeps you going, or what's your goal, like, and that's what life is, man. It's just what makes you happy, is like what you're chasing, and what makes you happy. And I personally can relate with you with that, with my circle kind of being my muse. So
definitely, bro.
For sure. But yeah, man, it's one of those things too, where it's like you're probably like one of the older people within the circle, right? So it's kind of like it's kind of like you're leading by example too, right?
Yep, definitely. Because my little sister, like I mentioned, she's about like 8 years younger than me. So, and her boyfriend is around the same as well. So it's like you're looking at like a decade difference, right? So like I have I've gone through a lot more experiences that molded me into the person I am now, that I can not like preach or whatever, but like I could kind of be like, hey, like nudge them in the right direction kind of thing. So like I hold value in that. And like my wife is around the same age as me, so like she's able to connect with my little sister on certain things that like I won't be able to connect with her on, because I don't like, just female things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like it's definitely one of those things where like I have much more experience, like we have much more experiences in life because of our age, and like where we come from, like how we went through things. And I think we all grew up in different like ages, right? Because like for my little sister, she grew up in like with technology. Like for us, tech was there, but it wasn't like our life like wasn't surrounding tech. Like we actually linked up with people in person. Like that was the go-to. Like, yo, call you on the landline. Yo, meet me at at this time, and then you just see the person there. Sometimes some people didn't have like the psychics and shit, so you just relied on that landline call, and then you just see them when you see them, type shit. So like I could definitely see all that stuff play out.
Yeah, and something I want to add too was you're gonna have I don't know if you had that moment yet, but when you give advice to somebody, especially when they're younger than you, and you're constantly the one giving the advice, there's gonna be that one day where your sister's gonna come to you, or like you're gonna say something, your sister's gonna give you advice,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be like, damn, you're right, like that makes sense. Like you're having like a proud moment, and then it's gonna hit you. You're gonna be like, wait, I told you that, like you know what I'm saying, like so it's kind of like now you're using it on me, but it shows how we're humans. Like nobody's perfect, right? We made a lot of times people are great at giving advice, but they're horrible at taking it, like incorporating it into their own life. Where it's like you're telling me to do it, but you need to do that too.
Yep, definitely.
So it's kind of like you keep them grounded, but your circle has to keep you grounded, and that's what it's about, man.
Definitely, bro. You need those people around you that's gonna tell you no.
Yeah, or like you bugging. Like,
yeah,
nah,
exactly.
yeah.
Like keep you in check and shit. Because if not, bro, you're gonna be running crazy.
especially when you get hype over something like yo, I need to go do this. I need to go do this, and it's like, why you gotta do it now? Like,
yep.
Why you can't wait? Like, just chill. And I feel like it's a lot of problems that we have. We try to do so much in so little time. It's just kind of like yes, life is limited. Yes, it is, but like this is time for everything. Like just do it the right way, you know. And that's the one advice I give for you. You know, like I know you're planning on buying a home in the future. Take your time with it. Truly look into it. Like, just don't jump into the first available option that sounds good. Because
for sure,
20 years down the line, you're gonna be like, "Damn, I hate this crib." You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna have to go through the whole process of trying to buy something else or trying to sell and then buy, and you don't want to go down that route.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, bro. Appreciate that.
But last time you came on, there were certain goals you spoke about, right? Do you want to revise your goals, or you want to stick to it? You know, I know you mentioned you're going to hit the gym and all that. I'm not going to ask you about the progress. It's not fair. It's only been it's only been like a month or whatever. So do you want to revise it? Is there anything else that you're working on that's new, or you're going to stick to the gym goal?
I think I definitely want to stick to the gym goal, because this is one of those things where, like, because of certain circumstances in my life, and sometimes I have this bad habit of getting drowned into work. So like I will get home like sometimes a little later than other expected times when I'm supposed to get home. And it kind of throws my whole night off. I'm just like, I want a burger right now. I'm not trying to go work out, all this extra shit. So like for me, it's like me and my wife are actually going to start tomorrow to go to the gym and stuff. So nice. We're trying to incorporate it on like, it's like a lifestyle change, you know. It's not like one of those things where it's like, oh, I have a goal of being X amount of pounds by X date, and then once you hit that, you just stop. Like, no, it's one of those things where you have to like approach it in a sustainable way. So it's like just incorporate it into your daily life, eat a little bit better, just like a lifestyle change.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Like I want to. That's one of the things for me that I want to hold true to myself, is like actually committing to that and doing it, because it's definitely a long-term commitment. It's not something that's like, oh, I want to see a change in myself, I'm going to see that change in a month. It's like I'm going to start now to then look back like a year and a half, a year later, and then be like, oh shit, like I can see a difference. You know. So like for me, I'm definitely taking that like health is wealth statement to heart, because we're only getting older, bro.
Yep.
So for me, I want to definitely try to be the healthiest version of myself that I can be. So that's one of my goals, and I'm definitely sticking to it.
It's one of those things, like, give yourself a fighting chance, you know, like avoid the problems while you can, because it's gonna get to a point where your body's gonna be like, yo, I can't work out. Like you gonna have to figure out another way to do your workouts aside from going to the gym. So it's kind of like, while you can go to the gym, get up and do it, right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I feel you on that, but yeah, man. I mean, that's definitely a good goal. Like I don't see how you would need to change that. Honestly, you know, like nobody's ever gonna say like you're going to the gym, that's bad for you, man. It's just, you know, obviously it comes down to what you're doing at the gym, but you know, as long as you're viewing it in a health sense first, and then kind of like the amenities that come with it, like, you know, looking good and looking in shape, that should be the second part of it, and that shouldn't be the main reason you're doing it.
Yeah, definitely, bro. For me, it's one of those things where it's like I would tell somebody how much I weigh, like now, and they'd be like, what? You don't look like you weigh that much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes back to like sports and stuff like that. When I was growing up, and then, like when I grew up and like in my 20s and stuff, I stayed doing sports. So like my physique, it kind of stayed in a specific way. But like some people will be shocked when I tell them my weight. Like, they'll be like, what the fuck? You know, like that much.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's like that's like a plus. Like, oh, I know I'm gonna like muscle starts getting defined and all that extra stuff. So like it's one of those things. It's like I'm not doing it like you said just for that. I'm mainly doing it for the health benefits. And getting more like pulling more things from that bucket versus like, oh, I want to look good. I want to have abs or all that stuff. That's like just extra thing.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. I definitely agree. But you want to plug up your social media so people go follow?
Hell yeah, bro. Sure. Yeah. If y'all want to go check out my content, it's on Instagram it's EDGARJC. On TikTok it's EDGARJC. On YouTube it's EDGARJC. So like everything, if you want to look up my songs and stuff on Apple Music, Spotify, it's just EDGARJC, EDGAR space JC.
You already know. And make sure you guys go check out NVIDIA, the new song that Edgar dropped. It's going to be down in the description with his social media as well. Before we end the podcast, I want to give a quick shout out to Reebok. By the time this video drops, we'll have a new Reebok exclusive deal again. It's going to be the same one that I had a couple videos ago where it was 40% off site-wide and then 50% off certain sales. So definitely go get your merch. They got a couple sneakers dropping that I think I saw some heat dropping this month, so go check that out. So I believe it's gonna be the 24th or 25th that the promotion code is gonna be out, but it's gonna be down in the description as well. So go make sure you get your merch. I'm actually wearing a Reebok shirt right now. It's a DC collab.
Sir.
Yes, sir. But yeah, they sent me a bunch of stuff, so shout out to them. So I'm definitely happy to be part of their affiliate program for sure.
That's fire, bro.
Yes, sir. But any last words for everybody watching, Edgar?
Definitely, man. I keep doing shit. I love the podcast.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, just keep your head up. Definitely think about doing that idea that you mentioned earlier about the podcast while you're traveling. That's gonna be fire. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, man.
And definitely, check out my stuff. So yeah, tune in, tap in.
You already know. So thank you for tuning in to Flip Talk Podcast episode 14. We had our reoccurring guest Edgar. You're actually the first to come back. So take that in. But yes, sir. So you already know episode 14 was great. I had a great time talking to you. It's always nice catching up, and I definitely look to bring you back on in the future.
Hell yeah, you know me. Zip me up.
Yes, sir. All right, you already know, my guy. Catch y'all later.
All right,
peace.